Let's return now to the news that some residents are having to bear the cost of replacing dangerous cladding on high-rise buildings. One worried homeowner in Manchester has said it is the lowest period of his entire life as he explains how he feels living in his apartment.
We just feel trapped. We feel utterly exhausted by the sort of just relentlessness of it all. There doesn't seem to be any let-up either. We're not hearing anything from government, which is, I think, the scariest thing at the moment, because, you know, we don't know, we've been given no clarification on how to get out of this situation. So, you know, the stress of it, the anxiety of it, of knowing every day some huge bill could be around the corner, is terrifying. But also that constant sort of daily fear of living in a place that has been deemed unsafe. The sort of mental burden of it all is just, I've never known anything like it. Like, this is the sort of the lowest period of my entire life.
Let's speak to Stephen Mackenzie, an expert on fire risk and fire safety management. Hello to you, Stephen. We heard from the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, earlier describing this living nightmare. We heard there from Matthew Holsworth talking about the impact that this is having on mental health. Through no fault of their own, these people are trapped in properties that are now worthless and they're fearing for their safety. How can that be?
It's absolutely unfathomable. These people have bought what they thought was a safe residential buildings in high-rise blocks, some of which are relatively new, only to find after Grenfell that hundreds, if not thousands, up and down the country are dangerously unsafe. It's not just cladding, it's other fire safety measures such as fire doors, smoke extract, smoke control, fire alarm, and then the mitigation has also been heaped upon the private leaseholders and residents as well. It's an absolute catastrophe, and it's unforgivable of UK government when the Australian inquiry into the 2014 Lacrosse building fire concluded in 2019. It held parties responsible from the design and construction team and also the heart of the government as well. But we have a continually dithering government in the UK who isn't funding removals, who isn't putting the necessary pressure on landlords or person having control over premises, whether in the private or the public sector, and it's now trickling down to the residents, the public purse, and it's a god-awful mess because they can't get mortgages. The professionals such as myself are seeing elevated insurance for professional indemnity fees as well. So it's a double blow. We can't fix these buildings if we can't get insurance to practice.
And in terms of the fixes, as you said, it isn't just cladding. We have talked a lot about the cladding, but there are numerous other measures that need to be taken in scores of buildings. Where Matthew Holsworth is living, the fire alarms can't be heard in the flats. They can only be heard in the hallways. Well, how did that ever get through the planning stage?
Well, I think that's one of the things I've been very staunch on since Grenfell. The root cause and the common cause goes back to the advice given to government and the advice that government is then giving to the sector out there that has led to the dumbing down of legislation and safety protocols on misguided information that we've seen lead to Grenfell and other buildings being impacted up and down the country. It could not and should not have happened, but they're still dithering about with consultations and trying to do rearguard action to qualify that it's everyone else's fault, not government. Well, I would suggest the common cause and root cause goes back to government, and I hope that the inquiry in the UK finds that also. And we've seen a staggering mercenary approach by cladding and insulation manufacturers, the ineptness of design, construction and enforcement teams compounding the issue, and we're even seeing mistakes being made in the remedial works and tower blocks across the country. It's an absolute fiasco. I would like Common Select Committee, the Parliamentary Ombudsman, we've exited the European Union or elevate to the United Nations to look at this god-awful mess in the UK and internationally.
And in the meantime, just briefly, Stephen, is there anything that homeowners can do finding themselves in this situation?
I think you need to take the advice from the local fire authorities, the housing provider, look at what's coming out of government, reach out to organisations such as the Leaseholder All-Parliamentary Group, who are very vocal and fighting for your rights, join the National Leaseholder Campaign, join Manchester Gladiators, link up with the Grenfell communities and push back on government, send them the bill for all these remedial costs.
OK, Stephen Mackenzie, thank you very much indeed for talking to us here on Sky News.
Thank you.